Hello, everybody. Glad to have you all with us today. We're going to be going through a call for testing. So, welcome to the GoDaddy Pro events. I am Courtney Robertson. Joining with me, I've got a couple of teammates that might be over in the chat area if you have joined us by coming in through events.godaddy.com. If you happen to be over on Twitter, thank you for watching along with us. This is an exciting time. I love doing these calls for testing and seeing what's coming in future versions of WordPress. I won't be able to simultaneously monitor the chat that's happening in Twitter. So do feel free to come on over to events.godaddy.com if you want to join us in the area where I will be able to monitor those chats coming in. We're kind of in both places right now. Thanks again for having Marcus and Ken over in the questions area. They'll be there to help us along, help me see where those questions or comments are. And without further ado, let me switch some things around on my monitor and I'll get us started. Here we go. And I want to share screen 3. And let's make sure, do not disturb mode is on. You don't need all my notifications constantly going off. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this. This is a post that we're following along with today that highlights the step-by-step directions that we're following. And with this, we're going to be working on the category customization coming. So these are features that are new in WordPress coming in WordPress 6.1. Some of these features are already out because we have the use of the Gutenberg plugin. The Gutenberg plugin, for a quick reminder, high-level overview, is available in WordPress.org. You do not have to use it or install it for live websites. What it does is all of the new features that come into the next version of WordPress, the ones that are related to the block editor experience, get rolled out inside of the Gutenberg plugin. So every other week they have a release on the Gutenberg plugin. And so there are already new features in the Gutenberg plugin that in November we'll have available for all of WordPress 6.1. So the release date right now for WordPress 6.1 to get all of these features and some additional ones looks to be November 1st, but we've got some of them now that we can start experimenting with. And I do mean experiment. So this is the stage where it's really important for us to test all of these things because that gives us the ability to provide that feedback to the developers that are working on this. And if we catch any kind of bugs, if things break, that's the time to tell people, look, I'm trying out this area. I've got questions, concerns, etc. The more that we can create that kind of feedback and provide it before this makes its way into WordPress core, the actual WordPress software without the Gutenberg plugin, the better the experience will be for everybody when we release. So your participation and involvement here is absolutely essential. I invite you all to work along with me as we go through this. So feel free to open up the exact same post and do this right alongside me. And then also anything that we are going to leave as a comment as we go through this, I will be stopping to gather my feedback in real time so that at the bottom of this, I can post a comment below. So if you see that I've got another tab open, I'm just going to use a temporary holding place. I write my feedback in a WordPress editor experience, and then I post it to the comments at the very end. So that way you've all got a chance to share along with that. Everybody good so far? Looks like no questions quite yet, which is totally fine. Again, do feel free to go leave a comment over in our chat area there. Feel free to let us know if this is your first time using call for testing experience, if you've been at this a while, if you've participated in previous programs like this. So you see that this is the 15th call. Oh my goodness, 15 of them so far. I think I joined, I don't know, maybe around like version 4 or something. We do these a couple per release at least. And it's a way to invite everybody in, and you'll see that you can find your way into the WordPress official Slack channels for this if you would like. And the overview in this one is going to be that we're going to be creating some templates together. So think about how categories, especially the layout for categories, shows up. Where I see below more template options, expanding what templates can be and created from the site editor. So this is saying we've got more additional options, and you'll see that as we actually spin up a site. So I don't recommend doing this on a live site anywhere. We're going to use a few different things to make our sites today. And I have use of InstaWP for that, which is a fantastic resource. So we have a way to create some layouts. And one of the things you'll see when we actually dig in, if I go to create a post, the post that I create is already going to have patterns defined in it. This can be great if you are asking various authors to write something and you want them to follow a standardized way of creating those posts. You can set, using this method that we have now available, you can define that exact content framework that you would like your authors to follow. So that one's a pretty cool one. We'll also play around with the new methods of the cover block using featured images. And this gives us two sets of ways to build up our site. You can see that we have InstaWP, and all we need to do to use this is click this link one time. This site will expire within 12 or 24 hours. So it will not be a permanent site. It is set to automatically delete for a purpose. Then if I look a little bit lower, I see I have the choice to manually set this up too. So if I were to manually set it up, there's a file that it's going to ask me to create, and I'll show you where that is inside of the InstaWP version. So with InstaWP, first thing I'll do is click this link. And we have use of this tool through learn.wordpress.org, as well as the call for testing program. When I launch this, you'll see that I am quickly brought into a WordPress site. And you'll want to notice, if you don't intend to finish all of it with us in this exact hour together today, what your address is at the top, because if you close it, you might have a hard time remembering. So you could go back through your history or something to that effect, but that's entirely up to you. So when I have launched the site, the step here to highlight or draw attention to, and I'll show you where that matters later, is that there is a little bit of customization already created for us in this site. I can show you what this is. You'll see that there are two different files that have been added. And those are, if I go into tools and then I go to my theme file editor and I look inside this folder that says patterns, you'll see that there are two patterns that are created. Just tuck that away in your mind. Know that this is there. I don't advocate that you ever cowboy code using the theme file editor inside of WordPress. Don't do that live. This is a sandbox site. If you really want to learn, then it will self-destruct. So we're asking you to only click this link one time so we don't have too many of these sites spun up. And it will self-destruct, just like a Inspector Gadget letter. I think about that show a lot. Self-destruct. So we've installed and activated this. Notice that we do have the Gutenberg plugin already installed. Let's take a look on this site that we just received. And if I check under plugins, what I have installed and active is Gutenberg and the WordPress importer. You'll see that I could run the update if I would like to. I don't know what's happened between .1 and .3. I'm going to let that well enough alone for now. There could be some things that were fixed. We'll find out. So we've viewed that. Navigate to Appearance Editor, and this will automatically open the site editor into the template powering your homepage. All right, Appearance Editor. And here is my homepage of my site. And this looks almost the same as the actual default theme. There's a few bits of text and things that have changed there, but not too much. Once there, go to the site icon and then hit templates. So this toggle in the top left, if you ever do swap out your logo and put it there, it will, if you define your site logo, that will no longer appear like the WordPress logo there. But the toggle works just the same. So select that toggle for the navigation and go to templates. Then it says choose add new and select category. This will open up a blank template. Add a header and a footer, and you could add those parts. So we want to go to add new and category. Let me double check. Category, yes. Notice when I do this that this is a focal point and everything behind is now sort of blurred out. That is a relatively new Gutenberg feature. You might not see that without the Gutenberg plugin installed. So I am to select, let me double check on my directions. Add new, select category. I did that. This will open up a new blank template and go from there. Let's go for all categories. Here is my blank template, and I will add in a header, not a heading, a header. I will choose default header. Ooh, let's replace that. That one's the big one. I should have gone with the smaller one. There we go. That's a little easier on the eyes. Next is a paragraph block just to have a space between, and then I will put the footer in. That just makes it a little easier in a few moments when I'm going to want to insert something into that middle space, because a paragraph block can be turned into anything. So dark footer at the bottom, and I have a paragraph block in between. And at the top of my screen, I am turning on the list view from the start because this is a way for me to see all of the blocks and the parts that I have going on my screen. Yesterday, I was on one of the events over on learn.wordpress.org, and somebody said that that's a staircase to them. That's what they call this. This is the staircase. These stacked, slightly askew horizontal lines that opens and it closes the list view. So I use that to know exactly where I am. And it wants me to add a query loop and select whatever design option I would like. So here in the paragraph block, type in the slash and get query loop. And in the query loop, I can choose any one of the options that are here. So a query loop is a funny term. If you're not familiar with query loop, a query loop basically means I want to see the next 6 posts or something like that and display them on the screen. And I could pick from some of these styles of how it could be laid out, whichever way I would like that to be. So I'm going to select this one at the top. That's the one I usually pick. And you'll see that it's fetching the next 2 posts. This one doesn't have a featured image assigned to it. This one does. And the height spacing is a little bit off. So I see that I've got some previews that are there. And there's some options that I can get into with this. The next step is to, while selecting the block, open the settings sidebar and ensure the option Inherit Query from Template is selected. This will ensure that the right posts appear. Okay, so settings expanded and Inherit Query from Template. The term query loop is one of those I could rename it for the average user that might be putting their themes together. I might like that. Devs understand query loop. It's like I want to loop through, fetch the next 3 to 6 posts or whatever I define, and go bring back a preview here and define what that should be. I think it's a little weird term for people, average people to use. So it says inherit from template. I end up turning this on pretty much all the time. I think that it's a missing setting. Like, I feel that the average person without these directions wouldn't know that that would ensure that they get the behavior that they want. So I'm going to start making some feedback. This is my notes area of feedback. Can we rename query loop, right? And then the other option in there, let me do a, would you please zoom in a little on the tab at the WordPress site? Yes, I will do that for you, Marcus. Thank you. Good notice. My eyes are also needing it. So, all right, this is just my own personal note. So I'm saying query loop, and I think that the inherit layout, is that what it is? What was that called? Inherit query from template. Let's copy this. This, right? We'll put this. You're all looking at my personal site where I'm making notes. I better not hit publish on this. Toggle is not obvious for the average non-dev to enable. Right, so that's like something that people wouldn't know to do if they didn't follow the directions on this post. Customize the template further as you see fit, keeping in mind that it will be used when you're viewing a category of posts. When you're done, hit publish. All right, so let's zoom this in. How close can I go? There we go. Hello, Juliana in Northern Virginia. Juliana, I am just up the road possibly from that. All right, I want to go out a little bit more because I want to see what this does. I can do some other settings with this. So I can say, Turn on full width if I would like to make it take up full width. All of the blocks inside should go edge to edge of that. Also, with this, I might want to, if I expand this and I go to post template, then I might want the post template to go edge to edge as well. Let's see where that setting is. Let's go to, sorry, not right clicking. I don't want to lock it. There is a way to define at some point within the query loop that I want the whole thing to go full width. Align, center, left, And I have done this many a times, right? I don't want that. I want over here. Inherit query from template. Yeah, okay. So maybe instead of this, where was the setting that I was looking at? Here, post template. That's it. That's what I was after. So that becomes a little weird. Like if I want the post template to go this way and not inherit the template, then that's something. So this is set to full. What's wide look like? That's wide. This is full. I don't know. Still playing, I think, with settings a little bit. Inner blocks use full width. So I guess that does virtually the same thing. Oh, look at that. If inner blocks use full width, then our navigation to see previous and next changes. I guess the inner blocks would be fine. I just would like to have this option of making it full width with maybe just a tiny bit of margin space there, because what I'm seeing is like maybe I want it to go over here. I don't see a good way for the query loop to go further left on the screen. So can I make, these are slightly off topic, but I'm noticing them now. Can I make the query loop block be closer to full screen width plus tiny bit of padding, right? So when we're done with this for today, I will clean up my notes as I'm going. But this is how we gather that feedback. All right, so the next direction. Hit save to publish this template and then go to the dashboard and make a post. All right, hit save, save. Now I am going to select my toggle icon, go back to the dashboard, and then I will make a new post, whichever way you like to go to get there. There is our new post. But look, what's that? Immediately upon creating a new post, you see that I've got two of the patterns that I can select from. Remember that I showed us in the theme editor area, those files, and I said, look inside the patterns, there are these two files. Those two files are defining patterns that can be selected for creating a post. So anybody that goes to make a post on this version of a site has to pick one of these two patterns in order to create the post. This could be really useful, again, when you're dealing with potentially authors and others that need to follow a very strict format for how you would like this to work. So I have created my new post, and I am to select new event announcement, the pattern, and fill in the details like I would like. So Anne wrote these directions. Anne's calling us to take a look at one of the other posts that she's done. So new event announcement. And just for some giggles, let's see here. If I go back to all posts and look at this one, this is the one that she filled in the details on it. So, all right, I could see that I've got a paragraph in here and a paragraph there and one down here and a button to select. And my buttons, there's a plural buttons and there's the singular. So if I am on details, notice that I can't do much about this. Like I can add some text, but I can't, and I can move it. Okay, but what's locked? What about this? Like, can I delete? I cannot delete. That's what's up. I can't delete it. All right. So in this details section, I am unable to delete this. I might still be able to change some words and move it around, but I've got this lock icon that's here. And you'll notice that this is at this level. These are my locking icons. So the next thing I might want to do is add in one of those paragraphs. But there, I have to. So if I, yeah, we test. All right, so I have my cursor going on in this heading area. And if I hit enter, that just gives me 2 lines worth in the heading. Like that's still the heading. And what I'm trying to do is find a way to insert a paragraph block. Now, I know I could hit this plus icon, but normally if I am not in anything else, like if I were just in a normal post and I hit enter, it would let me make a different block by hitting enter. And so I feel like that block lock that's on things, it makes it unclear how to get to the paragraph block for the average user. So I can do it this way, but I would like at the end of a blocked at the end of a locked block, oh, this is such a mouthful, folks. At the end of a locked block, I would like the enter key to be able to hit return. So hitting enter within a locked heading block should still prompt me for a paragraph block. Right? That's just my experience, I think, doing this. So if I were to add a title, Duffy's sleepover. So my kids were watching the Daniel Tiger episode not long ago where all the Stuffies spend the night at the library. That's my inspiration for my post today. Drop your favorite stuffed animal off at 7 p.m. for a special story time. The Stuffies will spend the night at the museum and return and be ready for brunch at 10 a.m. the next day. Sure, there we go. Directions. I'm gonna cheat. So yeah, again, I just hit enter because that's how I'm used to doing this. So if I'm trying to insert a paragraph between them, yeah, that might be a little weird that I have to use that plus icon to do that. What do you folks think? You saw an unlock option maybe in there? Yeah, Daniel Tiger is really the best. But yes, I still, my kids are starting to wean off of Daniel Tiger, Marcus. And there you go. Some days I need Daniel Tiger and Mr. Rogers myself, which is where Daniel originated. John, there are some unlock options where you have to deliberately, like, if you're on something that's locked and you go to this, it's like you can hit unlock. If you have the permissions to do so, you can hit unlock, but it's just a way of asking you, are you really sure you want to do this? So when we're defining these kind of layouts, where the goal is to make sure that it's like kind of standardized, I guess. All right, so I made my post and set a featured image and notice how it appears. Feel free to customize further. All right, so if I want to set my featured image, down below, you'll see that this is a cover block. It's interesting that it's at the bottom, but this is the cover block. And while I'm doing this, I'll just call a little attention. The duotone filter button is changing to this triangle pyramid type of shape. In the past, it looked like a dotted circle, and now we're going with a triangle option. So that's going to appear when you all get WordPress 6.1. In this area, I can say add media and tell it to use my featured image. First, let's go over and see. I don't have a featured image set. So let's set our featured image. And we've got some options that are here. This does not reflect the contents of my post, but it's a photo in there, so I will make use of it. And you will notice that the featured image is set to be the background default that is displayed here. And it's got a duotone filter over it. So that's not what my featured image looks like. If I were to change my featured image to something colorful, set featured image, yeah, you'll still see here's the version then of the featured image. And that's what would show unless you override these settings when you share it on social media. But on the site, we've got this version that's got the duotone applied in there. So it's an interesting way for us to look at this. So if I hit publish up above, and now I go to view my post live, there we go. That's the information. And then down below is that cover block, repeating that featured image again. So this theme is defaulting to having a featured image at the top, which is totally fine. And I see a grayed out version down below. Any questions, concerns so far? Yeah. My coworker is still saying, oh yeah, our kids all outgrew Daniel Tiger. Mine are almost on the verge of that. I think they finally watched a new episode today, and I was ecstatic for them. Hold on to it, kids. Before publishing, open the settings and assign the, oh, I hit publish already. That's fine. So I can go back to this and make sure that we can update this, that the category is set not to uncategorized, but to events. And under the template, feel free to select a different template with the new popover interface. So when I look at the templates, here is the template. It says default template. When I go to select this, in the past, if you were not using the block editor, you would have to do some fancy code overrides, making your own PHP files in a variety of ways. And then you would have a few template options that show up over here. So I could pick default, single, or blank. And if I've styled any of those, if I want to style those templates can be found either when you are in Appearance Editor and you look at templates here, right? This is one way to get there. The other way to get there is in this Edit Template option. And so you could take a look at editing this template if you would like to do that. Just calling out that the feature itself, let me jump back to where we were. Oh, I wanted just a single back, not all of the backs. Right, so in this default template area that I have selected, you can change it to different ones. What's different is that the exact method of showing this default template has changed for WordPress version 6.1 in a version of Gutenberg. This feature came out. So it looks a little bit different than the last time that we have seen that. All right, so I selected my template, return to the dashboard, make another post, make it be an event recap pattern, and fill in the details once more. You can feel free to take a look at the recap post and note that a few blocks are locked. Explore what this experience is like. All right, let's go to all posts and take a look at the edit mode of this and make a new one. All right, close that up. All right, so the example is here. I see, let's take a look at list view on this one. I see a table of contents block at the top. That's fun. This is a new block for WordPress. Again, it will be in 6.1. It was released in one of the versions of Gutenberg that shipped after WordPress 6.0 came out. So I see that there's a table of contents in here. There's a paragraph, there's some attendee names and some other outline kind of stuff happening below. And let's see what happens. So I'm picking the event recap. So here is the list view. And that table of contents is automatically in there, which is pretty nice. I have not played with it yet, but when you're doing single posts that you've got a sidebar on the side of your site, it would be really interesting for me to see what happens to the table of contents when it's not in the main body of the post, but it's maybe on the sidebar. What's nice is that these are automatically links that will jump you to those points further down in this article, and you don't have to manually create all of that, which I think is fantastic. So this is the event recap. Is that right? Let's see. Yeah, museum recap, Stuffy sleepover recap. Stuffy's sleepover recap. All right, so hit save on this and to recap. Note that the blocks are locked. Explore what that experience is like. Okay, locked blocks. Let's see. This is locked. Overview. Again, I think kind of the same thing as before. I want to hit enter after this to get down to a new paragraph, and it just doesn't. It just makes that heading sort of 2 lines. I would have to hit paragraph in here to add something in. And everyone slept well. Okay, so who brought their stuffies there? This is all the people. All right. Under the attendees, select the group block that contains the various names. Open the sidebar under layout and explore inner blocks, use full width and see what that does. All right, so the group block, inner blocks use full width. So what's changing? The spacing of my text now goes to the full width. What's defined as full width? So that's pretty interesting. Unrelated. I prefer not to have the front page as the default. Yeah, so there is a way to set up a separate front page. And if I've got a little time at the end, I will direct you either to some resources or do a very fast demo on that. So here I can swap out the layout, and I think it asks us to change anything else that we might want, explore the inner blocks full width, change colors, font size, etc. before publishing, assign the category events, and under template, feel free to select a different template with the new popover interface. Okay, so let's go with our background, and I'm going to make it really obvious that I've been here. So we'll go with this. And text, we should probably make that text white. And typography, maybe a little bit bigger on the eyes. Does that? No, I didn't change it. I would have to select the paragraph maybe to change that one. Paragraph here. Let's see. Typography is extra large. So yeah, that's fine. Default appearance, that's what I'm after. Bold, because I'm going to be doing that kind of pairing. So yes, I've been here. Down below in the other ones, I had an ability to, if I wanted to, for these other settings, I'll just draw attention to it. It says start here and then here, and I'm wondering, yeah, the HTML anchor is set to start. So for us to see the things that are in the table of contents above, we need to have, it's looking for that HTML anchor, and that's why it shows up here. So to know that it's supposed to jump down to start, there is an HTML anchor. I wonder what happens to the table of contents block if I add in just another heading. Testing. Okay, so it defaults to creating that now. That's good. I don't know if it did that before, but it's worth testing. So I like that it's defaulting to fill in that anchor so that I see up here that that has been automatically added. That's a good thing. That's something that we would want. Cool. All right, so there's that. And I need to assign this to the category events. And if I feel like picking a different template, I could do that. So post. In our post, we want to switch it over to events. I don't feel like changing the template, but I could. I will hit publish. I worry about people getting a little mixed up between a pattern that defines the layout of the content versus templates that are design oriented more. So patterns are more about the content and laying out the content internally the way you want, whereas templates would be structural, more theme oriented kind of design changes, not as much about the content. So I think the naming of that might be an area we need to help folks understand maybe. And the last thing that we are to do is go to our site and then a category called events. So let's copy this and we'll take a look at what this has done on our site. There, and then category / events. We'll hit enter. And you'll see there is the events category, right? And in that, I've got the original post and then the recap. And the recap, I haven't defined a featured image, so that's why I'm not getting anything to show up there. I could slow down here and go make that featured image in there if y'all would like. Trying to think if there was anything else that is super important to log. Any of these questions. Did anything crash? Blah, blah, blah. What did I find that matched what you saw on your site? Did it work using a keyboard only? I have not tested with a screen reader. Did the saving experience work properly? Everything saved well for me. What did you find particularly confusing or frustrating? I think that what I'll do. So an important part of doing this stuff is making sure that the right people get the feedback that they want. So what I will do is hit tab. Oh, sometimes the list view. No. Did saving work well? Hit enter, indent. Yes, saving was fine. What did I find confusing or frustrating? In here, yeah, this one I would lead with. This I will put as the first thing because that's the one that especially was weird to me. Yeah. And I think worth calling out in there. These two, and then for this one also that idea of for average for non-devs, again, non-devs, right? I think that idea of presenting a pattern picker and templates might confuse folks about which to use. Hey, is that how I want to say that? I'm open for the category templates apply to child categories, or do we need? That's a great question, Marcus. We will do that part next. So presenting a pattern picker from the templates, present the pattern picker and the templates might confuse folks about which to use. Patterns is more about the content, while template is more theme and design related. Okay, I think that, right. So Marcus's question here while I'm saving my things. If I jump back out to take a look at the category area, this is pretty fun. When FSE first launched full site editing, this ability to use block themes, we didn't have a lot of options yet in this templates area. We had basically what the theme gave us, and little by little, we've been able to create more. And as we are creating more, you'll see there is the one that I designed. I could tell I designed it because this is my username. And anything that was default from the theme is listed right here. In one fell swoop, I could delete my customization if I would like to. So you have ways to undo things. But let's take a look for Marcus's question in here about the add new templates. So this actually goes back to the earlier question, how to define a front page separately. So this is kind of related. Under this add new, we have a lot of options starting to come in. So author came in with WordPress 6.0. Defining front page, I think was 5.9. I could be mistaken. But you'll now see date and tag. You could also define templates based upon those. And what's pretty interesting is that you can make a single category, like I want to style the way just events look, or I want to style the way that you could make the category be recap and also a different category be events. You could also make it be that if you had just a normal blog post, whatever normal blog post means to you, maybe you've got a category for that. So there can be some different ones. Like I know on my site, on my own site, I've got a category called speaking, and in it, I put replays of like times that I've spoken at places. So you can make different categories here. And when I was selecting mine, it said when I defined it, I just made a broad one called category. That's already made now. So it's asking me, we have a category template. Now go pick a specific one. So do you want to style up the one for events or for uncategorized, which is our catch-all? If I dig into this, I could see that I don't have a predefined, I have a category called events. I don't have the layout done for a template for all events. And so in this, maybe under all events, I might want to change it so that instead of a header, footer, and just empty paragraph in the middle, I have something else going on there. Maybe in that I might want to, if I use a calendar plugin, maybe I want to show some of those options like add to my Google Calendar or whatever. That's just an example. You can get really specific. You would just walk through the same steps. I broadly walked us through all categories, but this is now defining for a specific category what you would like to do with that. Hopefully that helped answer that one. What excites me, the taxonomy one has shipped, I believe. But what excites me about this is I think that when we're looking at custom post types, like we know that the third-party ecosystem uses a lot of custom post types. Like there are plugins out there that are event calendars, and they make a custom post type called events. You might have other custom post types that you've created in the past. This is going to give you that flexibility where you see this custom templates. So it could be applied to any post or page. And so if it is, when you are doing this one, it says describe the template post with sidebar. Sure. So you could apply this to a lot of spots. When you create these custom templates, you could go through this process and then define it to say, I want this to show on my custom post types. This is that bridge so that the plugins that make custom post types, or if you hand roll your own custom post type, you can create using the block editor what that template for the custom post type should be. So I know that that might be a little bit much, but yeah, so it's like having a template override for that category. Exactly the case. Yes. Yes, exactly. So it makes it easier to do template overrides, which I've written many a help article over the era about doing template overrides. And so formerly we did all of this over PHP. Now we don't have to rely on PHP necessarily to do that one. So there we go. All right. Let's take a look back in the chat area, see if we've got any other questions coming in. I think that's a good bit of them. So we've walked through this call. Now, before I submit my own responses, let's finish up our notes just a little bit here. Okay, what did I especially enjoy or appreciate? I'm excited to use the patterns on posts because there are some things that I do a very standard way, even on my own personal site. Like if I do a book review or when I speak for events, maybe I want the same prompts for all of those. So excited to implement patterns on my posts with this newer approach. That's actually a good time for me to show you. So if you remember at the beginning when we started going through this, let me go back out to jump out of editing these things. And when I was on tools and theme file editor, and when I look at the patterns files that are here, here is that look at the code that made that event recap template, or the event recap pattern be one of the things that I selected. At the top, you'll see we open up our PHP and it follows this doc block comments that tells me what this is assigned to. This is assigned inside of the core software to all post content. Post types is post. And then in this area, you'll start seeing this markup. This markup is the same thing as if you go to make a pattern and then you copy the code. So let me take a look. I'll do one more. Add a new post, right? And then it'll ask me a thing. So if I turn on my code mode instead of the visual editor, this markup, if I wanted to define that as the thing, and this is exactly how it was done, you could go make whatever you want, lay it out inside of any post or page or whatever. You don't have to actually publish it. Then you switch over to the code editor and you can copy all of this and then you drop it into a file similar to this. So you don't even have to manually write this stuff. You could just use the editor experience to get it to make that block markup code for you, which is basically kind of pseudo HTML. There's a lot of comments in there and things, but you start out with your opening and closing of the PHP and a doc block in the middle that just defines where this goes, what it is, and then you drop in all of the things for that pattern. Make sure I'm saying the right terminology for that pattern, and then you would update your file. So again, I don't recommend doing this cowboy code style. I would suggest that if you're doing actual development work like this, that you, one, don't do it on anything live. Two, that you maybe go make this file and upload it to the site instead. And the way to do that would be if you get into your file editor or FTP or things like that, and or bundle it into the actual themes. Because if 2022 runs an update, you don't want to lose your stuff. So all thoughts to kind of consider as you're going through that. What were my other notes here? What would have made the experience easier? I don't know that I have anything that I can think of to make it easier. Say Insta WP pre-made site. That's super helpful. What would make the experience easier? I don't know that I have one. Did you find what you created matched what you saw on your site? That's an easy yes. So this is the important part before we're done, is to actually go log the things. Let's say untested at the end. Untested and untested. Actually, this is a good point. Did it work using a keyboard only? Except I wanted to hit enter after titles, after locked titles, locked headings to get to a paragraph block, and that does not work. There we go. Okay, so next thing I will do is it was great experience. All right. I will hit enter and then I will indent that. Now the last step, I will go up to, I don't know that I have to do it this way. This is just what I've always found. So I will copy the code out of my notes. And that way they come in nicely formatted, because the comment spot at the bottom of this post is not always the best. So I cheated a little ahead, but here, as you go scrolling down, you could see what other people have said and what their feedback has been. And since we are going to be able to upload this onto YouTube, I can actually go drop the link in for the replay of this later, so that folks can scrub through on the time. And you'll see, this is Anne. Anne wrote this post. Anne is amazing. And she'll come back through and provide some feedback here. And I could see if anything crashed, did it work with keyboards, etc. Read through the experience that others have had as well. And then at the tail end of this, anything that comes off that might be a bug, I am certainly able to go and log that. And I'll just do another quick look at what that looks like. So yeah, a lot of people have been testing, which is fantastic. But if anyone else runs a test or would like to do any testing that's in there, you are welcome to go through and read all of the feedback other people have left as well. And then because I copied the code from my site, yeah, hey, it looks still like code, but if I go to preview, ta-da, now it's got some nice formatting that's in there, right? So I will hit reply, and there's the reply. Now, again, I mentioned if you wanted to, if you think something out of all of this testing for sure definitively is a bug or a feature request that you might have, you would go out to WordPress, the github.com/WordPress/Gutenberg/issues. And before you open an issue, a new one, you want to look around and see if lock and then lock enter. I'm going to see if that combo of words comes up at all. So I would look through these and say like, oh, was that something that somebody might have already logged? I might want to skim through the titles. I would look kind of near the beginning of that. I don't think it would be pages deep, but I might read through these issues. And if I say like, nope, no one's logged exactly what I'm thinking about, and I would like to log it, and I go to new issue, you're welcome to do that. And you could say if it's feature or a bug or whatever you think that it is. If you are unsure if it's a bug, you can always reach out to me and ask. That's always a great opportunity. Or you can enter that on this discussion area on the post. And at the end of this, after Anne gathers up all of this feedback, and sometimes we'll all go over and open up issues on Gutenberg as well. So they just do amazing work. And I'm so glad to be able to provide some feedback like this and to help other people get testing as well. That's kind of the gist of this. It didn't, as you can't add the title. Yeah, that's the, yeah. So add the P. Um, yeah, the paragraph block. So yes, that is a good question. Adding the paragraph block in, I think, would be really helpful. It's gotten a bit dark. I think there's a storm coming. Sorry for my interesting lighting today, folks. So the last bits of this part before we head out is to let you know that we've got some other upcoming events going on. Joining us on August 3rd, we have Bud Kraus. Marcus and I got to spend some good quality time with Bud in, yeah, I think Marcus is walking through all of that one. Thank you for grabbing that link ahead. Bud was with Marcus and I at WordCamp Montclair. We had such a good time. The event that Bud will be hosting coming up soon is WordPress is a design system, really? And just today, I've seen more and more large-scale design agencies starting to go towards this full site editing block editor approach to things. It does such a good job with the code partials and all of that. So thank you all for being with us. We will have with us soon the GoDaddy Pro YouTube account will have the video uploaded. We'll be sure to notify you if you have signed up to attend this event today, right now, that the replay is available in the very near future. And I really look forward to running through another one of these calls for testing again. Thanks, Marcus and Ken, for being with us over in the chat room as well. Yeah, and yes, thank you, Marcus. It's time for me to sign off for the day and go do my wedding anniversary things. Thanks all.